back to Ghana. He goes, I'm being asked to come back. I didn't know he was royalty and so forth like that. So Bernard, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and what you're doing now in Africa and what you do as a job and for those in West Africa. So with all due respect, I introduce my good friend Bernard.
Yeah, thank you, Senor. Yeah, my name was Bernard, but now my name has changed. I am His Royal Majesty Odenihon Kwafu Akutu III. I am the king of the people of Akwamu in Ghana. As Hector was saying, I met Hector in New York. I think that was in 1997, 96 or 97.
There you go.
I was in uni and I was working as a home health aide. Yes. And we moved to Florida together in Orlando. I still worked with him until I finished uni. And I worked with him a bit. Then I have to come to Ghana to answer a call to my royalty to take up my position as the king of Akwamu. And ever since we've been in touch. And I'm glad I'm seeing Hector again. He had a lot of impact in my life, and I still hold him high. I think I was with him when he was working with one Ed Galga and Lisa. When they were doing, I like to thrive, We used to travel together when Hector was giving speeches in schools and motivational speaking in schools and all over the country. I was traveling with him all over the country, talking to children and school children and people who were battling with alcohol and all sort of vices in their lives. So Hector, in being with him and working with him as an aide, I learned a lot of things from Hector, and he doesn't know. I'm using it to rule my people now, Principled man, I love him so much. I'm here. Thank you, Heck.
Hey, thank you. And Bernard, what's the name I got to be calling you? Give me the short version. Give me the short name.
Odenihon.
Odenihon. All right.
Yeah.
I can handle that one. I can definitely.
Yes, Odenihon. Yes.
All right. So with that, one of the reasons I asked Bernard if he would attend this meeting is because as I've been teaching this 6-week course called Thriving Through the Transition, which is a 6-week course for people with disabilities and so forth. Some of you are in this room, such as Gabriel, such as Timothy, and so forth. They're actually taking this course right now. I know Dennis knows a little bit as well, too. I've invited him. And Dennis, I'm going to get to you in just a minute because I think Dennis does work for an organization there for people with disabilities. So we're going to try to get some of that information from you as well, Dennis. But in teaching this course, I want to get back to since go through this course, I met quite a few people from Kenya, from Liberia, all right, from Nigeria, and so forth. I met also some people from Nepal. All these individuals have disabilities. And what caught my attention was Gabriel's story. And Gabriel's here tonight, and I want Gabriel to talk a little bit about, too, how we met. And I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves in just a minute. But what caught my heart, really, was Gabriel's story and the living conditions that he was living in with a severe disability and so forth. And I know, oh man, Bernard, I'm going to say Bernard. Please forgive me. I'm going to say Bernard.
Let's use Bernard for the purpose of this meeting, please. Yes,
I appreciate it. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk to Bernard about this was the conditions of people with disabilities, both in Ghana. I'd like to get some information from Timothy and Gabriel and Dennis, and there's other people. So we created, even today, this morning, we created a messenger chat room. And I invited my good friend Sabrina here from Orlando, Florida as well, too. I invited some advocates. I invited some pastors and so forth. I invited my pastor from the church and stuff like that because they have some contacts. So I want to see how we can get as much medical equipment and medical supplies to Africa, to these individuals with disabilities. But I need to know that when we send things, that it's going to get to its destination, that it's going to get to its destination and so forth. So that's one of the reasons that I asked Bernard to be here, because he's responsible for a lot of people and so forth. So I really want to try to understand the politics of it. I want to understand which is the best way so that we can deliver this medical equipment and supplies to these individuals and so forth, and how these individuals hopefully will empower these individuals. If we can get somebody simple, somebody who doesn't have a wheelchair right now, get them a wheelchair to at least show that this getting wheelchairs and being a little bit more independent could help on the whole mentality about how people are living, either in poverty or whatever. So we have poverty all over the world. We have poverty in Africa. We have poverty in the United States. Despite that, people can overcome those state of mind of poverty. All right. And that's what I really want to teach through the course, is how to overcome what we call scarcity mindset. Just a mindset of where you have no hope, a mindset where you just have no resources, where you're totally alone. So how do we go from there to a mindset of abundance, to a mindset of faith, really? Because a lot of this is based on faith. All right. And so that's going to be a lot of it, because I don't know how many agnostics I'm going to run into. I don't know how many people I'm going to run into that don't believe in God. But I, for one, God has been a miracle in my life, and he's created a miracle through me. The fact that I'm now 60 years old, or about to be 60 years old in January, blows my mind. I was injured when I was 17 years old, so just that and alone for me is a miracle that I'm still here and I'm still alive. So with that said, I would like to go around the room. I would like to everybody who's here to introduce themselves. Let us know your name, let us know what disability you have, and let us know where you're living right now. And and then we'll go from there. Let's do the introductions first, and then we'll go from there. So Mercy, we're going to start with you and Timothy.
Unmute the TV. Can you hear it?
Hi,
yes,
everyone.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Hello. Yes,
okay,
we can hear you.
I'm Mercy. I'm caregiver to Timothy. Timothy is here with me. Can you see him, everyone?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, his condition is CP, cerebral palsy, and that's why he has interference in speech, and opted that I join you today. I'm the caregiver for the last 11 years. I'm a social worker. At the same time, I also trained as a teacher, a special needs education teacher. So mostly I deal with vulnerables. I stay in Kenya. I'm in the informal settlements. I'm in Nairobi, but majorly in the informal settlements. I don't know if you have ever heard of Kibera. I know most of you have not been in Kenya, but I know Gabriel knows Kibera slums. That is where we are based. Particularly, I deal with the vulnerables. And that's why I was so passionate to take care of Timothy since he was young up to where he has reached. And I want to thank you, more so Hector, for inviting me to be in this forum. I think that is where I belong, having a passion for those who are vulnerable in the society. To all Bernard and the rest, pleasure meeting you. Thank you.
Awesome. Is there anything that Timothy would like to share with us?
I think he can say hi.
Hi.
Hello, Timothy.
Hi, Timothy. Hi, how you doing?
Do you hear me?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Well, so many details you will have from my caregiver, Mercy.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
That is
next
all.
we're gonna.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Timothy, and thank you for being here, man, both of you. We're gonna go to Carrie. Carrie, can you introduce yourself?
One moment. Sam, can you mute the TV? Sorry, I have a roommate. My name is Carrie Ross. I am from, well, I wasn't born in Colorado. I was in Colorado. I have some mental disabilities, but I was still able to work. I made, basically in my early 20s, I was making a ton of money without a degree, and I had to drop out of college. The only thing I knew was computers, and I consulted with computers in Colorado and out of Colorado. By my early 30s, I was making $110 an hour. If I wanted a car, I just walked by and say, I'd like to put that car on my credit card. And that was my lifestyle until I lost my daughter and I succumbed to my disabilities. I went from the peak of the mountain to the lowest of the valleys. And I was telling Hector that I've struggled most of my life, except for when I had my daughter. But sometimes even then, even when I was on top of the world, I had struggles with suicidality, not really finding meanings to live, always in and out of that, trying to fight for my life. My doctor would say, I'm like, why, I'd ask people why I'm still here. She said, Carrie, my doctor's medical inclination was that I'm too much of a fighter and that I may want to give up, but I'm never going to. My grandma said it's not the number of times you fall down that matters. It's the number of times you get back up. I know there's a verse in the Bible that talks about, if a righteous person falls down 7 times and gets back up. So I know that my most recent fall down was another car accident, not in which I lost my daughter, but similar. I don't know exactly why, but I went off the road and I ended up after a bout of homelessness. I thought I was at my lowest, and literally, I may have been. I ended up incarcerated temporarily. I ended up not. They said I was not psychiatrically mentally worthy to stand trial. Um, I was put in a mental health program to get out of jail, but temporarily I had no income for a year because of my homelessness and just trying to recertify my SSDI. Then when I got my money, I got a car. Once you know it, I decided to take a road trip, got in a car accident, and went off the road. Now I'm paralyzed, and you would think that this would be the lowest point of my life, but it's actually a high point in my life. I have something new to fight for. I'm relearning to walk with a walker. I'm making new friends. I've been in a care center that has given me the social needs provided for me socially, mentally, physically. I'm ready to. I'm back on medication. I'm stable. I've been stable for over a year now, and I'm getting back on top. Um, the times I've felt like giving up, I still get out of bed. I still, uh, I've, I've poured myself into artwork. Um, I've, my, they say that my roommate and I have the best room in the place because it's cozy. We have art all over the walls, and um, it's the atmosphere is very good. So I'm learning that, I thought when I had a mental disability, the difficulty with mental disabilities is that they're not seen. Everybody, my complaint, a lot of our complaint, those with mental disabilities, was that they can't see us, but we're still there, right? And our scars are inside. Sometimes they're outside, but uh, now I had physical disabilities too, but they weren't as noticeable. And now I have, I'm in a wheelchair, and I have a walker. People can see and witness, and I'm learning. It's interesting how people treat people with disabilities. Some
Mhm.
are treated differently than others. Uh, I have found out a lot about people being homeless, being on top of the world. Not when I I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time, Hector, but when I was making $110 an hour, I was confronted by someone who wanted me to help out with an organization, and I could, but I had this chip on my shoulder, like I'm already helping my mom, my brother, my brother's wife, and my daughter. Why should I? And then when I was homeless, I tried to rely on that very organization that I was asked to help out for housing, and I was denied. And I'm like, it must be a God. I was just telling a friend the other day, I said, it must have been a God thing, because I felt this checking in my soul when I had the opportunity to help someone out and to serve. I refused. And then when I needed the service, it wasn't there for me.
Right.
But then he doesn't let us stay in that position. When we wake up to it, he, even if we don't, he's there for us. And I appreciate, I have a faith in God. I don't know if you do, but I couldn't have done this. I wouldn't be here without God, with my homelessness, with my suicide attempts, with where it's taken me.
Carrie,
with
let me pause you there for a minute, all right? Because I just want to get everybody else introduced here and stuff like
Sure.
that. But your story is powerful, and we definitely want to hear more about it and how we're going to be able to help each other, right? So thank you so much.
Thank you, Hector.
Thanks for being awesome. Gabriel, how are you, my brother? Can you hear us? I'm going to give Gabriel a minute there, see if we can get on mic. Here he comes. Guys, if everybody else can go on mute.
Yes,
Thank you.
hello.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Gabriel. Hello.
I'm okay. So I'm Gabriel Otieno from Kenya, Africa. So it's great to be here today with you all. Nice meeting you. So I'm disabled. I live with disability. I'm a TB of spine survivor, and that brings me to use the wheelchair. So I'm a college student pursuing banking and finance. And let me talk about my story a little bit to save time. So I was diagnosed by TB of spine, and that led to my operation. But the operation was successful, though it left like a hip creature on my back. So I wasn't able to walk again. So as at now, I use wheelchair for mobility. So we met with Hector sometimes back. We've been sharing a lot. He's acting as my coach as at now. He's supporting me spiritually and in everything. Like, I can ask for him to guide me in something, and he'll get me a solution for that. So I shared with Hector about the current situation we are living, and I realized that the same problems is like we are facing, like the same problems is appearing to everyone with disability in Africa. So I talked about wheelchairs. Okay, the wheelchairs, you may find that some organizations are distributing them, but they are not comfortable for persons with disability. Someone like me, I'm fine. I need a comfortable wheelchair so that I can move around. But to find that the organizations are distributing these wheelchairs, I mostly see them in the hospitals. So they are not comfortable for us enough. The second thing was I talked about the access homes. So as those living with disability, we have to, like, we need to have the accessible homes and houses. Like if you are a wheelchair user, you can have a well-maintained ramp, no stairs, so that you can move around easily. Then there is issue of about toilets, no toilets that you can access easily. I then talked about it was about food, meals. You find that most people living with disability, they have nowhere to get the food. So sometimes you can even go off without food. I talked about what was it about? Maybe I'll talk about it later, but I remember I typed somewhere so that we can get familiar with them. But I was suggesting if we can get something like an organization where we can get these things. If it's about medical issues, yes, something about medical. You find that you see this cab foot, this kind of disability, the cab foot one, it can be corrected, but you find some people don't have the medical attentions, and yet their disabilities can be corrected if they go to the surgeries. So with that, it can fully change. It can change some people's lives if that can happen to us in Africa. So thank you for your time. And I wish to invite you into our weekly courses that it depends on Tuesday. So it's good if you attend the courses. You can be motivated spiritually from the training, and I wish to see you there. Thank you for listening to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Joyce, give me 1 second. We're going to get to you in 1 second. If you can go ahead and put your mic on mute just for a moment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, give us 1 minute. Sabrina, I hope you're still there with us. If you can come off mute, Sabrina, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where you're from, and your injury.
Hi, I'm from Orlando, Florida. I am a C7 quadriplegic due to a car accident 24 years ago. I was 17 at the time. And basically now I didn't let it stop me. I now work at Universal. I do hobbies as making cards, bookmarks, keychains. And I'm also on board with the Ghost Skin. It's a non-profit group for people with for spinal cord injury in Orlando area. Our mission is to serve people in need that need stuff like wheelchairs, medical supplies. Also, we do social events each year, different like picnic, Christmas parties, and so everybody get together and associate with people with different disabilities. So we do that every year.
Awesome, Sabrina. Thank you so much, Sabrina. Hang in there with us. We're gonna come back to you as well. And Dennis, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'll keep my video off. Thank you. My name is Nkame Dennis. I'm from Uganda. I currently work with an organization called Wiko District Association of Persons with Disability. It's an NGO here in Uganda, registered as a national NGO that brings together persons with disabilities in our jurisdiction, that is at district level, but we work in different districts depending on the needs that we have identified, and through different partners. The setup of Uganda, we have what we call district unions. In every district, we have district unions that bring together persons with disabilities in those particular districts, that the administrative units in our country. I'm not disabled, but I work with an organization that deals with people with disabilities. And this is after realizing that no one applies to be a disabled person. Those who think we are able-bodied people, we are temporarily able, because at any point in time, you can become a disabled person. And so it is indeed important that we create an empowering environment for all of us, because at any point in time, you can fall a victim. So we work with, I work with an organization that mobilizes persons with disability in our area, but we are also I've also worked with a national organization which is called National Union of Persons with Disability of Uganda, of persons with disabilities of Uganda, that is NUDIPU. It's an umbrella organization that brings all organizations that work with persons with disabilities in Uganda. The issues that affect persons with disabilities are cross-cutting here in Africa. You find issues that affect people with disabilities in Kenya, in Libya, in South Africa, or other countries within Africa are cross-cutting. Reasonable accommodation remains a challenge in most of our countries in Africa, and medical supplies for persons with disabilities. Setup of our country here in Uganda, it is a little bit hard for a person with disability to access a wheelchair. There are those who have opportunity that they can get one, but few can have access to some of these facilities. And therefore, sometimes it becomes very hard when it comes to mobility. So this is one of the challenges, but also when it comes to medical supplies, there is little prioritization of health issues when it comes to persons with disabilities in our country. Therefore, we have private sector that can come up to bring some of these medical supplies. Sometimes the taxation makes some of these supplies again more expensive, which again carries the burden to persons with disabilities, meaning they cannot have access to some of these medical supplies. Let's say people with mental disabilities, they have medications that they have to take. These are not within the hospitals, government hospitals, where we expect to get free medical services. These can only be accessed through private partners, which again they are giving these services at a cost. And, in Africa, I don't know, but there is a big correlation between poverty and disability in our country. You find most of our people with disabilities are coming from mostly vulnerable communities. And therefore, it becomes a little bit challenging access to some of these things. I want to thank you, Hector, for bringing up such an initiative of bringing us on board as people who are coming from Africa. Lay strategies on how best we can support persons with disabilities in our respective countries. I look forward hearing from other members, and together we can make change, I believe. Thank you, and I'll be coming back for more insights as we move on. Thank you, Hector.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dennis. And then we're going to bring on Joyce. Joyce, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Hector.
Awesome, Joyce. Joyce, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about who you are. If you are a person with a disability, let us know that, where you're speaking to us from.
Okay, my name is Joyce Togaripi. I'm from Zimbabwe. I have a disability. It's called poliomyelitis. I got poliomyelitis at the age of 2, and I use a wheelchair and an aid. Sorry, you cannot see me because it's midnight in Zimbabwe.
Not a problem.
Okay, I am a member of an organization called National Council of Disabled Persons of Zimbabwe. I'm the Women's Wing Chair, and we have 92 branches in Zimbabwe. We cover both the rural and urban areas. Have I left anything out as yet, Hector?
No. I just wanted to just have you there for a minute. So how long have you been doing this, Joyce?
Hello?
How long have you been? Yes, can you hear me? How long have you been doing this type of work?
Okay, for 20 plus years in this organization.
Awesome. All right. And you service how many people, or what areas do you service?
The urban and the rural areas in Zimbabwe.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Joyce, for being here. Please hold on. I'm sure other things are going to come up to rise. I really don't know where we can begin other than the purpose that I want to bring up an advisory board is, like I said, when I first met Gabriel and so forth. And of course, when I was doing the course, the 6-week course for people with disabilities, we're getting people from all over the United States. And then when we started getting people outside the United States, from Africa, I really started seeing the impact of disabilities on other countries, such as Africa. So I want to start there with Africa. Knowing that I had my good friend Bernard over there in Ghana, I want to know, Bernard, can you tell us a little bit about how you are dealing with the issues of disabilities as far as education or as far as medical equipment and supplies? Does your government, do you provide any assistance for those types of people, or what do you see how some of these people can get some assistance if we were to collaborate on some of the manufacturers here in the United States? Because that's what my mission is. My mission is to try to speak to some of these manufacturers here in the United States. Sometimes they overproduce chairs, sometimes they overproduce medical equipment, almost like a Costco almost, and so forth. So what we want to try to do is build relationships between the US and Africa in regards to certain services. Now, I don't want to create anything new. What I want to do is I really want to take a look at the programs that are already doing some of this work. I know in this chat room that I created this morning, I gave a very short list of some of those organizations right now. And so really, I'm just going to read off a couple of them real quick. All right, like Direct Relief. Direct Relief is an organization that provides medical assistance to improve the health and lives of people affected by poverty and emergencies. Direct Relief works globally, including in Africa. And then we want to talk about MedWish. MedWish International. MedWish International responds to medical supplies and equipment to provide humanitarian aid around the world, including Africa. They focus on sending, medical equipment to areas where healthcare infrastructure is lacking. All right. So I want to start communicating with organizations. Another one is called Interval. All right. This nonprofit recovers unused medical supplies and equipment and redistributes them to underserved countries and their support. So I think if we get organized here as an advisory board, as a grassroots program and so forth, and we introduce ourselves to some of these organizations, then I believe that they're going to be able to assist with some of us. The only problem is, since we're all over, all right, since we're all over, we're going to have to start picking individuals or areas that we could first start with, you know, and I really would like, and then I want to create a story out of that, and then I want to document that story, and then I want to put that story out there in social media, all right, and then I'm hoping that it will be like planting a seed, and then that seed will grow about awareness, all right. So that's the goal of this advisory board, and like I said, I want to make it a collaboration between those advocates here in the U.S., those churches here in the U.S., because a lot of churches here in the U.S. are planting other churches in Africa. And that's where my pastor came into play, and where at least, you know, he can at least talk with us, or at least share with us some of those connections that he does have, so that we can invite those pastors here to see exactly what churches that are involved and are willing to help. So, and that's why I also ask some of you that are living in Africa, you know, what are your relationship with churches? What are your relationships with hospitals? What are your relationships with government? Because I think we need to let them know about this very small group that I hope it grows. So Bernard, where would you say, I mean, how are you dealing with the issue of disabilities in Ghana and where you're at?
Yeah, thank you, Hector. Yeah, heck, you know the experience I had with you, you know. So I've always looked out for you know, Africa is different from the US. You know, I heard one of them talking about even when you bring the equipment, I mean, the tariffs and all the taxes you have to pay in clearing them from the port and all that. But I think in this case, it's better to deal with the NGOs, you know, the non-governmental agencies who are strictly doing this. In Ghana, I know the social welfare is there. I've not really gotten into it. You know, when I came to Ghana, I just got into this royalty thing. So I've been busy with my people and all that. But I know the passion is still there because of the experience I had with you. You know, and I mean, this one is going to open my eye. You know, I've always wanted to do this here in Ghana. You know, so I'm going to do a search about it within a week and see how best how some of these things are coming in. But to be frank with you, I think Africa needs some of this help. But the whole thing is the world they need to deal with credible agencies. You know, and that is the problem we have in Africa. Because some of these things comes through the agencies and you don't get to the destination that you're supposed to go to. So some of these companies and some of these organizations in the Western world are kind of fed up with this. So I think we being an advisory board now, we might have to build a very good consensus and be very credible about some of these things when the equipment comes, so they can get to their destinations, to get to the people who need them. That we don't go and sell them and all that. I think these are some of the indicators that the Western world they look at, you know. But I know there are agencies that brings them in. Just that I'm not directly involved in them now. So if I need a wheelchair for somebody in my community, I go and buy it. You know, I go to the market and buy it. That's what I do. And so if there can be a way of getting some of these things to the rural areas, to the people who need them, but they don't have access to them, and maybe they are even not able to buy them. I mean, it will be good, because we need them. And I don't even know the number of people who use your kind of wheelchair that we've been using since the 90s till now. You know, people still have the one that they push, but the one that self-drive and things, yeah, just a few people that uses them here in Africa. You know, and I think when people get them, they are going to be more accessible to other areas and all that. So I think we have a lot of way to go, though. I mean, to get these things down here, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Bernard. I think what we plan to do with this advisory board is really to each individual, whether it's Gabriel or Sabrina or Dennis or Carrie, you know, to really just find out where your strong points are. What are you good at? You know, what can you help us out with, either with developing these connections, these relationships, or just sharing your story is most effective. I know when I advocate here in the United States and I go off to Washington, what government wants to know, it goes, okay, Hector, tell us why you're here and tell us, you know, how you ended up in that wheelchair and what do you see? Because I feel at times, and people like Sabrina and myself are there in the front lines where we meet these people almost on a daily basis and they're newly injured, you know? I mean, you know, even Carrie's less than a year injured, you know, and even though she's lived with other disabilities and so forth, you know, she's really finding out what the system is like. And I can tell you that a lot of us that are in institutions still are looking to be more independent. They either want to be either in a home setting, or they want to be a little bit more independent, or they want to be working. They don't want to be dependent on the state or the government. They want to be able to make their own money. They want to be able to take care of themselves. They want to be able to buy their own medical equipment and supplies. And they don't want to be dependent on an agency or on Medicare insurance or whatever the case is. Now, knowing that, what I'm willing to do, there are some other bigger organizations that are willing to really assist us, but they're like the fear that they have, Bernard, is exactly what you said. Hey, man, if I donate this stuff, how do I know it's going to get there? How do I know it's going to get to the people that need it and so forth? Because it's not just on your end in Africa that they're corrupt. We have businesses and so forth here that are corrupt as well, too, and that abuse the system or that take advantage of the system, or take advantage that it is wheelchairs or medical equipment and stuff like that too. I can already see what would happen in the war with Israel. There was a lot of abuse there, trying to get assistance into that country and so forth. So I don't want to get political on it, but I agree with you totally, Bernard. We need to develop a system, or we need to develop collaborations with people that we can trust, with people that are credible, like you said, you know, that will take care of these individuals, that the equipment and supplies will get to these individuals. And that if some of these individuals want to come to the US, either on a visa or on something, because I know some people might want to study. I met quite some people from Africa that would love to come to the US, at least to study for 2 or 3 years, you know? And some really want to do that because they want to go back to Africa, either as a pharmacist or as a nurse or as a physical therapist, you know, so then they can go back home and help their people as well, too. So what I'm trying to do is just, one, bring some awareness, and two, bring the opportunity to Africa, you know, because everywhere, even in my own country, here in the US, whether it's Florida and so forth, like you said, the more rural we go out, where people are not connected to the rest of society and they're isolated and they're alone, don't know about the resources that are out there, you know? And so it's always a constant message about trying to educate and trying to bring some awareness. So with this advisory board, I would like to at least meet once a month, all right? But I want to have some goals and tasks that we would have every month. And then the following month, we will come together and see what are some of the barriers in achieving some of the goals that we come together. So I want to lay out the areas in Africa, you know, so right now I see Kenya. I see some other places too that I really would like to focus on, and then focus just on that area, and then move to another area, and then focus on that area. And hopefully while we're focusing on different areas and while we're helping certain individuals, they're not just taking advantage of the situation, but they're doing something with their lives. They're either becoming more independent, they're either helping other people with disabilities, and we're hoping to grow. So that's the purpose of this advisory board, is just to try to bring some attention, some awareness. And then the intent is to have people with disabilities in those countries collaborate with other people here, whether they need us as mentors. And that's what I'm hoping to do with the course. You know, we don't charge for the course. We do not charge for this 6-week course. what we've done is we've gotten grants of money from organizations who donated to us and would allow to pay for my salary, would allow to pay for the salaries of my other coaches and stuff like that. And as those grants grow, we'll be able to then transfer some of that into the equipment and supplies that are needed in Africa, or people that request. All we ask you is to follow the course, because the course is all about empowering people. We want people to find out what their value is, what they feel their worth is, and we want to be able to nurture that as a group. So that's the purpose of this advisory board. That's why we're going to have guests like Bernard, and we're going to have other guests as other pastors. They're going to come in, they're going to speak, they're going to share their experiences. I'm hoping people like Dennis and people like Joyce, who are already involved in programs there in Africa, and people like Mercy, who's a professional there, and so forth in Kenya, that we come together and we find out what the needs are. And then our end thing is, how do we get those needs met, but at the same time empowering the person. We're not just going to give things away. We're going to give them with a purpose, with an intent to try to heal. This is not going to be an easy task. I don't want anybody to think that this is going to be easy. I don't want anybody to think that this is going to be simple, because it's not, and it's going to take some time. The thing is, and I heard it before, and I think it was Carrie who said, we're going to fall down. We're going to get denials. There are going to be people that are not going to want to help, and so forth. And we're going to have to reach out to other organizations. We're going to have to make some new developments and so forth. But I at least want to get together as an advisory board and at least try to develop a 1 to 3 year plan on what we're going to do the first year, what we're going to do the second year, and what we're going to do the third year. And then I want to be able to have those tasks and goals set up for the first year, for the second year, and for the third year. Our job as an advisory board is to meet those goals, is to complete those tasks with whatever help that we need, whatever resources we need. If I ask somebody like Carrie to come on board and utilize her skills, whether with computers or whatever, she's going to give me a list of things that she still needs. Technology, the equipment. My job and everybody else's job is to try to help me find those organizations that are going to provide grants and scholarships so we can purchase that equipment that we need. And whether it's a computer, whether it's a wheelchair, whether it's medical supplies, we definitely want to have a fund available there so we could do something like what Bernard does. Bernard in his things, if his own people need something, well, he goes out to the market and get it. That's the kind of board that we want to be able to have, so that we could do the same thing from other people, and to help people from all over Africa. And this might just last for a year. This might last for 3 years, but it's all about you, and it's about what you can bring to the table and what you can assist us with, because I can't do this alone. I'll tell you that right now. I can't do this alone, but I do believe that we can do it together. I believe that we could do it together. I believe we could do it with faith. I think we could do it with taking care of ourselves and at least being that role model. All right. Even though when things get difficult, even though like Carrie said, even when we fall down, we get back up. And I think we should get back up with the assistance of all of us here. Now, this is just a group of 3, 6, I see 7 people on here. So we're going to start out low, right? These are 7 people that was able to get here today on September 22nd. We're going to come back again on October. All right. We're going to come back on a Sunday if that works for people. And Bernard, and I know how busy you are, and I know the different time zones as well too. So I have to take that into consideration as well. But if you guys have representatives that you can at least send for 1 hour once a month, just to at least take notes, and in that way, the information will get back to Bernard. If you can't make it, try to just put somebody in place so that they can go to the meeting. And I'll try to do the same thing. Once I have your email, I'll make sure that you get a replay of each video. All right, so what was discussed at that meeting, so you can see what you missed and so forth, and what's needed, and so people will be able to stay in touch in that kind of format. So that's the vision I have. I'm looking for any other input. I want to keep it down to about 10 more minutes or 15 more minutes because I like to try to keep the meetings to an hour. We go too long, people start, it doesn't hold our attention. So I really want to try to do 1 hour meetings. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments about what I just shared with, about the vision and the purpose of this advisory board? Who wants to go first? Anybody? It's always quiet in the beginning. It's always quiet. It's always quiet in the beginning. Just come off the mic and just share something real quick, and just tell us if this is something that can interest you, if this is something that you can commit to once a month. Mercy, I see you on mic.
Okay. Thanks, Hector. Thank you for sharing, and I wanted to comment on the issue. When you are talking about the people living with disabilities, and I want to comment what my brother Bernard just said, more so in Africa. We should come up with modalities because there have been an issue with African countries. More so, I'll speak about Kenya. I think what we can do at the grassroots, we can have these countries, like right now we are having Zimbabwe, we are having Ghana, we are having Uganda, then Kenya. We can work with regions, because when I say that we come together, all of us, sometimes it might be very, very hard. For now, we can form an advisory, then we come back to our countries, whereby now we can work from the grassroots, whereby you say that we can partner with the organizations. Like right now, I'm working in an organization, but partially it's just for few people living with disabilities, because it is also dealing with the orphans. And again, they try to educate, because it is like in Kenya, most of the kids are not getting basic education, and more so those living with disabilities. And there is a lot of negligence from the government, whereby you get that, just the way Bernard said, sometimes you can get here the resources, but once they land here, where are they going to? So I think dealing with the organizations, that one will be perfectly done. Like now, when you see our brother Dennis in Uganda, already he's working with an organization. I'm also already working with the organization. At least when you use such organization, and those are NGOs, you'll find that there is that platform which is already laid down. But if we just, let me say, we have the access of the resources that have landed, where are they going to? So we should come up with a modality on how this should be coordinated. And I think we can be the best people to form the advisories. Like right now, we're already in the platform, and then down we can escalate down on the regions, so that it can be dealt as a region. Maybe we can speak of West Africa, we can speak of East Africa, we can speak of South Africa and North Africa. But now you oversee, because we have to be transparent, there should be accountability, and we should come up with the realistic goals. What are the realistic goals? What are we aiming at? We should go down and sensitize. So we are going to form further smaller advisories, whereby we are going to get the coaches, or we are going to get the people who are going to assist us, because we are, just like Gabriel said, in Kenya we have a problem. We have many people living with disabilities, but these resources from the government don't get to them. So if we come up,
Mercy, let me pause you there for a minute, only because you're saying something that's really important here in regards to what our next steps are, and then we have to wrap it up. So I like where you're going with this. So what I'm thinking right now is that even though we're going to meet only once a month, for that month, why, today is now September 22nd, tomorrow, later on tonight, the next day and the next day, I want everyone to be thinking about the issue. I want everybody to be thinking about the problem and so forth. And then, like you said, Mercy, that throughout the week, I want everybody to check in. We created a small room. We could always change the name, but right now there's a room on Messenger, and I'll send anybody the invite if they don't have it on Messenger, or we could do something on WhatsApp as well. It's called Assistance Those with Disabilities in Africa from the USA, creating the advisory board. All right. So I think right now that throughout the month, before we meet next month on October 22nd, and we'll have to find out if maybe we'll meet on the last Sunday of every month, something like that, at least for 1 hour or at least for 90 minutes to at least follow up where we left off at the last one. But during the month, that we should all be checking into this Messenger page to take a look at what the tasks are and what everybody's doing. We need everybody like to chip in, come together. And what are you doing? I'll do the same thing. I will tell you what I'm doing about the problem, who I spoke to, the manufacturer I'm speaking to. I will share that with you. I have no problem sharing that with you, but I ask that you don't leave me alone doing that, that each one of you takes on the responsibility to then check in throughout the month in these messenger rooms and tell us what you're doing. What are you doing to stay physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, stable? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for stability with people with disabilities. Make sure they're in housing. That's one of the reasons that Gabriel caught my message, is because when I saw the conditions that he's living in and so forth. So I want everyone to make sure that, first of all, when you get on a plane, right, and they tell you about the oxygen mask, they tell you, put the oxygen mask on yourself, because you cannot help other people if you're not taking the oxygen yourself. All right. If you try to put oxygen on other people, you're going to run out of air. And I don't want nobody to run out of air. I don't want nobody to get burnt out, because this is a very large mission that we're undertaking. So I want to make sure that everybody knows what we're getting in. I want to know that I want people to check in, if not on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on this messenger page. And if you guys can't find it or whatever, let me know. I will send you the link for it, so you know exactly where it is on Messenger. We'll probably even create a Facebook page as well too. So questions, comments? Anybody else who wants to share? Gabriel, Joyce, go ahead, Joyce.
Hello, Hector.
Yes.
This is a very noble initiative indeed. And I know as Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwean government has no resources available at the moment for persons with disabilities. So it means that those on medication are suffering. Those who need assistive devices are also suffering, because we also have no grants as persons with disabilities. So there is really a need to really join up with you so that all these persons with disabilities in Zimbabwe can be assisted. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joyce. Appreciate you for being here. Dennis, any final words?
Yes, thank you, Hector. Like said by other members, equally in Uganda, we don't have specific plan for persons with disabilities. And the idea of coming together as a group and you supporting to ensure that we can be able to support persons with disabilities.
Thank you.
Disability in Africa is indeed a very good. We've had organization. I've worked with different organizations now for 11 years, but many partners are on the verge of pulling out, because many times resources come and fail in wrong hands. I would also suggest that member associate with already existing entities, registered entities. For the case in Uganda, organizations are registered by Ministry of Interior. If we are to do this work, I think it would be imperative that we work with registered organizations. But for the case of Uganda, we can also come up, we can have a linkage with the National Union of Persons with Disabilities in Uganda, an umbrella organization that brings on board all organizations that work with disabilities, because that person's disability now. I believe if we work in this line, I think we shall be able to be accountable one, but also to reach our intended target beneficiaries that we intend to support at the end of the day. The other thing, I would also, I'm also thinking loud on how best we can together do joint resource mobilizations. as members with from different organizations in Africa, looking at disability programming, how best can we come together? Because we have different organizations, people from different organizations on this platform. How best can we work together, come up with joint projects that we can present maybe to Hector to help us in resource mobilization, or in terms of equipments as members from Africa. Hector, it has been really a pleasure, and we look forward to strengthen this kind of partnership so that we can be able to support persons with disabilities in our countries, because we have challenges when it comes to persons with disabilities in our countries. So
Absolutely.
For the case of Uganda, I think we need to do something, and we welcome this kind of idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, anybody else before I just give you one last 2 minutes? Everybody's good? Sabrina, Gabriel, you guys are good? Carrie, you guys are good? Comments or anything? Okay.
I'm good.
All right, Sabrina, thank you. All right.
Hector, what I would say in conclusion right now, I'm glad we are all here. I am not disabled though, but I'm glad I've worked with Hector for some time, and sometimes it is better you understand me. You were making a point of not feeling disabled. I remember the first day I came to work with you, I was wearing my nursing attire, and Hector just said, no, Bernard, you can't come here with me. I don't want to feel like I'm sick and everything. I remember that was 1995, I think that was all Alive to Thrive was about, taking control of your own self. And I think apart from making sure every disabled person have a wheelchair or maybe a gadget that person needs. The mindset is very, very important to be strong and not to feel disabled all the time, so that you can do things for yourself, And that's one thing I learned when I was with Hector, Anytime when I would like to do things for him, he would like to do it himself. And I really appreciate it, Hector. He really had a lot of impact in my life. And I know Gabriel is going to, I was glad when Gabriel said, you are coaching him. Gabriel, listen to Hector very well. And all of you who are on this advisory board, he's a strong person. He's a strong-minded person. And that has kept him alive. Now, if somebody has to give a strong testimony about him, it will be me, because I was with him for a long time, and that is why I've taken my time, from my busy schedule to make sure I'm with you. I'm going to support you on this, because it is something I've always wanted to give back to society, what I've also gained, Sometimes people don't believe that I worked as a home health aide before, because they see me as I tell them my story and they are marveled. But it was quite a very good experience for me working with paraplegic, somebody who is paralyzed from the chest down. C5, and I always see it as a bigger part of my CV, and I really did this, and that touches my human side. Hector, you know me, and I was with you, throughout, and it has always been my passion that to help people too. So I think I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad I'm doing it with you. Maybe I know awesome. It's my fate. Yes, I know. We always come together to do something good, so I know this one is going to be good. All right. So I'll always be here to support you. All right.
Thank you so much.
Back every day.
Sorry, Hector. I was trying to find my unmute button, but I just wanted to say the last thing I want to say is one thing I told Hector that really helped me when I was in the hospital with this most recent injury was finding a prayer box in the gift shop that said ask, pray. This box, it says ask, pray. Let's see if I can show it to you. It says ask, pray, believe, receive. And I've heard that before, but I finally decided to try it out, and I wrote down prayers for each item that each day I wrote down a prayer, I dated it. And when I was one of them was to get into a rehab facility, and I was in the hospital 111 days before I got into a rehab facility. Well, after I got into a rehab facility, I went through the prayer box, and each prayer had been answered. And I wrote down the dates in the notebook. I wrote down the dates of the prayer and the dates that were answered, because I had kept notes in the facility or in the hospital, and it was amazing. So I think if prayer is not your inclination, if you meditate, if you just offer your thoughts, I think it's important to put that out there into the universe, just to say, this is what we want, this is what we need. We need these wheelchairs, we need these the governments to cooperate, the donations to get where they go. We need to ask for it, we need to believe that it'll get there, and know that the Bible says ask and it shall be given to you, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open. It'll get there if we put it out there. It'll get where it needs to go. If it gets rerouted, maybe that's where it needs to go, and we can still try to get it where we intended it to go in the first place. So let's just not lose faith, keep our hopes up that this will be God's will.
Yep, Carrie, you're definitely one of those people that I definitely want to stay in contact with. You're one that I want to maybe start us off with that prayer box, because I don't know everybody's religious beliefs and so forth, and I don't want to make this religious, but I do know that it's about a spiritual beliefs that we have about ourselves, and in believing in yourself as well too. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm going to sign off for now. But if you need any of my email stuff or whatever, a lot of these are already attached to the messenger thing. I know I'm in touch with Bernard. Sabrina has my information. Gabriel has my information. I want to reach out to Dennis and Joyce to make sure I get some more information about their organizations. I'm going to be reaching out to some organizations this week. All right, I'm going to share this video, and I need to know, everybody, is it okay? I need your permission right now to know it's okay for me to share this video with other people who need to take a look at it and so forth. So if it's okay, can I just get a nod of the head, or just tell me that it's okay to use this video to share it with other people?
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you, Sabrina. Gabriel, everything okay there? Can we use this video?
Yeah.
Dennis, thank you for giving me the thumbs up. Joyce, can we use this video to
Yes.
share it, what we're trying to do? Awesome.
Hello.
You can do that?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
All right, so we can use this video. Again, we got it from Cami as well there too, right? We're going to be using this video to share with other people. Okay, so just want to make sure it's okay to use this video. Good?
It's okay.
All right, and nobody's objecting or anything like that. Good. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's what I'm going to be doing this week. Think about how you can give to this group, whether it's with your time, your ideas. Make sure you communicate back and forth on Messenger. If you have any thoughts or ideas, let's just keep the conversations going, even though we're not going to meet until the last Sunday of next month. So please put that on your calendar. The last Sunday of the month, I'll send out a reminder to everybody. I'd like to see if we can keep it around the same time. And if it can't be, and if you guys can't meet for whatever reason, just let us know, or see if you can send somebody else that could attend the meeting and let them know that, hey, I'm here to represent so-and-so. And then at least they have all the information. I will send the replays out to everyone. I'll send it out to Bernard. I'll send it out to everybody else, just so you have a copy of that tape and you can share it, because I'm giving you my permission to share this tape, so just know that you can share this tape just to see if there's people out there that you already want to start donating, because I know that's the other thing that we're going to need. If people are going to want to start donating, then we either need to come up with a 501c3 nonprofit, which I have one, but I want you guys to trust, that I don't want you guys to think that the money's going to come to me and then I'm going to go run away to Jamaica or something like that and become a rich man or anything like that. So I want to, we really need to discuss that as well too. So there's a lot of politics that we still need to discuss. There's a lot of administration stuff, but we're not there yet. I just need to know what kind of group we have right now, what kind of group we're going to have next month. And then let's see what we do within the next 30 to 60 days. All right. As far as sharing this information, as far as seeing if there's other people that want to come here. Like I said, we started out with 7 on September 22, 2024. Let's see if we can get this to grow. I'll leave it at that. You guys want to contact with me, just send me a message or whatever. Bernard, I love you, my brother. So good to see you.
Too,
so
bro.
good to work together, man. All right.
I know.
Mercy,
I know.
it's a pleasure meeting you as well. Joyce, Gabriel, Carrie, Sabrina, Dennis, thank you so much for doing this with me.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.